How's it going, Thrivers? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, I'm going to be talking about another mindset video, and it has to do with shame and guilt about having CFS or long COVID or fibromyalgia. The reason I want to talk about this is it's not so tactical of like how to increase activity or how to deal with symptoms when they come up. It's more so a topic that it's like an underlying layer that is running in the back of your mind constantly 24/7 when you do have to sit on the sidelines of life, or you do have to really just be a viewer of life versus a participant. At least that's what it felt like for me. And so I wanted to talk about feeling broken, feeling insecure, feeling very fragile, but more importantly, feeling like a shell of yourself, or at least a shell of who you used to be. Because if you're anything like me, or the thousands of people that we work with, the type of person who gets CFS or long COVID or fibromyalgia, any type of hypersensitive nervous system disorder, you probably used to be that go-getter. Probably that person that friends and family and people in your circle could rely on. Probably the one who was always showing up for other people, and that high performer who never really said no to life. In fact, was probably busier than most of the people you knew. And now, because of all these symptoms and limitations that you're dealing with, you actually have to say no to most of the opportunities. Or at least if you say yes to them, then it's not really a great time, because here you are doing the activity, but you're dealing with all these symptoms, so you can't really enjoy it. So the question that you probably ask yourself is, if I'm not that person who is out there living life to the fullest, if I'm not out there maximizing my days and getting closer to my goals and squeezing the most out of the lemon of life, if I'm not that old version of me, who I used to be, then who am I? Right? And it's actually like the opposite, because your current reality is probably the opposite of what your previous reality was like. So instead of saying yes to opportunities, you probably have to say no to opportunities. Instead of feeling like you could take on the world, you feel like you could barely move around the house, or you can barely make it outside without feeling like you're going to fall apart. And so this whole identity you've built up throughout your whole life leading up to you getting sick, you are now basically a polar opposite of that person. And a little bit about my story, if you don't know it already, I used to be a personal trainer, used to be very athletic in high school, got straight A's, honor roll student, all of that stuff. And to go from that kind of person who had that like fire, that intensity, where he would set a goal and he knows he could do whatever he set his mind to, I did that to the point where my goals even came before my health. And so when I did get sick, I was able to do less and less. I had to work out less. I had to say no to more things, more opportunities coming my way, to the point where I remember sitting at home one day and my friends just wanted to go to the beach. I live here in Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada, and there's fireworks every summer. And it was summer. And I had been feeling really, really sick for several months, to the point where I actually had to go off work a few times. And this one day I got a text from my friends and they said, "Hey, you want to come with us to watch the fireworks? We're just going to go to the beach, do a little picnic." And I remember the level of shame I had declining that, because I couldn't even make it to the beach. I couldn't even make it driving, right? Because it was too stimulating to get in a car. At this time, I think I was homesick for several weeks, because every time I would leave my house, the sun was too bright, or the cars were too loud, or there's too much movement to the point where it was overwhelming for my brain. And I would literally try going to a mall to go like eat with my dad, and I would get tinnitus. It felt like there was ringing in my ears just from people talking or chairs moving in the food court. Or walking in downtown, I'd have panic attacks because, there was just too much chaos going on, right? I don't feel those things today, but I remember there was a time when I just felt very, very fragile and on edge. And so I remember them texting me, and I was so upset and so sad, and I had all the shame inside of how broken I was to not be able to do those things. And I think that's the toughest part about this is, at least for me, it was having to say no when you want to say yes. Having to decline invitations even though you want to accept it. And then you'll even have people say, like, "Oh, Miguel, it used to be so much fun. Don't you want to come to the beach? You're going to feel better." But in reality, if you go do that thing, you're actually going to feel worse, because I tried that so many times. And even just walking to my mailbox, I'd have these massive flare-ups. So how am I going to make it across the city, sit with tens of thousands of people and listen to fireworks. So people just didn't understand. And it was the most isolating thing I could ever imagine. But you don't need to imagine that. You probably lived some of these things, maybe not exactly, but I know you know what I'm talking about. When you used to be that person who said yes to life and now you have to say no, even though you really want to. And the way that I really worked around that, and the thing that helped so much in my recovery and stopped all this underlying noise happening beneath the surface where I felt just terrible about myself and my whole situation, the thing that helped me drop a lot of the guilt and shame and just frustration around all of this was understanding that even though that was my current physical situation, who I am on the inside, I was still Miguel. I was still that guy who loved to have fun, who would, in a heartbeat, would love to go to the beach, would love to hang out with friends and smile and laugh without feeling like I was redlining my engine doing those things. And so I had to almost separate myself from this identity of somebody who was completely broken and who was dealing with something that was irreversible. Because for the longest time, I read all these things online about CFS and I thought I would have this forever because I kept hearing stories about people dealing with this for several decades and not getting better and just maintaining, or they're in remission. Little side note, we've had plenty of people we've worked with directly at CFS Recovery who have had this for multiple decades, 3, 4, 5 decades, even as old as 87 years old, and they get their lives back, right? They were just missing certain information to finally solve the root cause of this, which was a hypersensitive nervous system, right? So it's kind of like solving a combination lock, okay? Because you can sit there without any strategy, you'll have to go through all the different patterns and combos and codes, and you have to do the right things in the right order in order to unlock that lock. Now, you could be doing the right things, but in the wrong order, the lock's not going to get solved, and vice versa. You could be doing things in the right order, but you could be doing the wrong steps, right? And so in that case, you would just stay stuck for who knows how long, maybe getting a little bit better here and there, but then sliding backwards and feeling like you're running on this hamster wheel of constantly trying your best, but not really seeing the needle move forward in the long run. But anyways, back to separating myself from this identity, I really had to understand that the healthy version of myself was still in there somewhere. The Miguel who still had excitement for life and still had hope for this awesome future where I could live without limitations. I could go travel, I could go exercise, I could go run down the beach without symptoms. That version of me still existed. There just happened to be a layer on top of that, which was this unhealthy layer, the layer that was dealing with symptoms. But I really had to detach myself from that identity because I'll tell you, and you probably feel this, the longer you're sick with this, the more time goes on, the more you have to say no to life, the more you feel like this is forever. And the more you feel like you're just that person now, right? And it even got to the point where I just accepted that, okay, I'll probably be dealing with this for a very long time. So I'm not even going to get my hopes up about these dreams and aspirations that I have, because every time I get my hopes up, it's just stripped away from me. Every time I feel like I'm making progress, the problem is I didn't know why I was making progress, but I'd start feeling better and I'd start to flare up again. I'd feel like I was back at square one. And so it was this very toxic, vicious cycle of very hopeful to very disappointed, to very inspired, to just absolutely crushed, to very motivated, to very frustrated. And it's this extreme up and down yo-yo that it was almost unbearable at times. The range of emotions that you feel on a day-to-day basis, I can't even put into words, right? But you know what I'm talking about. Whether it's day-to-day feeling better and worse, or week to week, or month to month, where you feel like you're starting to gain progress and then you feel like it's taken away from you. And so for me, there was a time where I stopped dreaming, I stopped hoping, and overall I was just not even trying to get better, I was just trying to not get worse, if that makes sense. I was playing to survive. I wasn't playing to win the game of recovery. It really got to that point. And so you want to separate yourself from this version of you that is sick. You don't want to completely avoid it, right? Because that's just being delusional. Clearly there's something happening in your body. Clearly it's a pretty negative experience. It hurts physically, mentally, emotionally. Well, let's not discount that, but you have to look at this as a temporary period in your life, even if it feels like forever. For me, 4.5 to 5 years of dealing with this, that felt like a whole lifetime, right? It's very interesting when you're dealing with a lot of this stuff. It feels like you're in some kind of time chamber where the months go by very quickly, the years go by very quickly, the days go by very, very slow, right? You just want to be mindful of the identity you're attaching yourself to. Is it that very broken, impossible to recover version of yourself? Or are you still tapping into that version of you who was healthy and that will be healthy? Because if you're watching this video right now, I have thousands of videos on this channel, or just over 2,000 videos. There's thousands of videos on the internet about this. I don't think it's a mistake that you're watching this video 12 minutes into this if you really weren't motivated and dedicated to getting your life back. Nobody just watches these for fun and listens this far if they're not absolutely serious about overcoming this and getting their life back, right? If you weren't watching this, that means you wouldn't care. And you just threw in the towel and said, I'm just going to probably live with this for the rest of my life. But clearly, and I know this because I've talked to literally thousands of people dealing with this, there's a part of you that knows there is a possibility of life on the other side of this. If by some small chance, even if it's a 0.001% chance that you get your life back, it's going to be awesome. And you know that there is a certain reality where you are walking outside, where you are driving, you're spending quality time with friends and family, you're out there living life to the fullest. And there's probably a part of your brain that knows that if you get there, you're going to go back in time and look at all of these hardships and you're going to thank yourself for not giving up and continuing to stick with it and persevere even when things felt impossible. And I want you to tap into that part of your identity, that version of you, because that version of you does exist, or else you wouldn't be watching this video right now. And so this was just a reminder to tap into that, right? And don't forget who you are on a deeper level than just the CFS, than just the long COVID, than just the fibromyalgia. Those are labels, right? And one thing that really helped me was once I learned about the hypersensitive nervous system, once I learned that, oh, okay, this is actually quite a logical thing that's happening to me. My brain is just trying to protect me from myself, because prior to getting sick, I would just work, push, never rest, was so hard on myself mentally, emotionally, and never really took breaks. No wonder my brain slammed on the brakes. It's to save me from myself. And once I understood why I was in this position in the first place, the next part that came was, okay, what do I do about it? Are all the things that I share on this channel, understanding things like the adjustment period, things like the progress cycle, watching other recovery stories of people with your similar symptoms get their lives back. Maybe they're your similar age. Maybe if they're a male, you're a male. If they're dealing with certain symptoms, you're also dealing with their symptoms. We have 80+ hours of recovery stories on this channel alone. There's literally thousands of screenshots of wins of people who've made tons of progress or they're getting their lives back inside of our communities. So at this point in the timeline of science and what's out there right now when it comes to CFS and long COVID, it's not a matter of, is recovery possible? It absolutely is. It's just a matter of, how do I make it possible for me? What do I need to implement? How can I make this work for my specific situation? And that's exactly what we help people with. So if you want to learn more about how we can take a lot of these principles and frameworks and strategies and really boil it down to something that is tailored specifically for your situation, you can actually take a free diagnostic assessment. We'll look at your nervous system, we'll look at your roadblocks, your history leading up to this point, and you're going to hop on a call with one of our team members where we're going to look at what are the best action steps for where you are right now based on your symptoms and situation to really move the needle forward, and what does an actual full recovery look like? Because at this point, we've just seen thousands of people's cases, so we know what works, what doesn't, depending on certain factors in your recovery. But if you want to learn more about that, click the link down below. It's completely free. There's no obligation. We have all these free resources on the YouTube channel. We're just happy to share the information because these are things that I wish I knew when I was in the trenches before I learned everything that I know now. And if I can help you speed up your recovery and your journey, that just means you have to deal with the symptoms for a less amount of time and you'll get your life back a lot sooner. Granted, as long as you've had your tests and scans done and the doctors can't find anything and they don't have any more answers for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Always remember that you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.
I'd say that CFS recovery is absolutely the real deal.
I actually felt like somebody had an answer, like somebody explained what was going on, and it all clicked.